Hello folks, this is Solo speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is more footage taken from early in set 11. We are on the release patch here. This is taken from a double-up game that I'm playing together with Headwinder. And in this game, we're going to be looking at a Kog'Maw reroll team composition. Reroll Cog, it feels as though a lot of these sets have had Kog'Maw as a reroll champion. Kog'Maw is a 1-cost champion again. And we're going to look to reroll him and get a 3-star Cog in this game. I do want to mention before we even get started that this is a build that Antisocial Monkey has been playing, and he was actually watching the local live stream recording as I played this game with Headwinder, and Antisocial Monkey gave me some advice on how to play this as we were going along. Okay, I was hoping for the 3-cost champion portal. We do not get that. We get the spatula portal instead, so that means everybody is going to get a spatula for free here at the start of the game, and then that opens up a lot of different potential chase traits that otherwise would not be playable or would be a lot more difficult to play. So this definitely feeds into various vertical trait setups. The one that I'm going to be looking for is Mythic, because Kog'Maw is a Mythic unit. He actually has 3 different traits in this set, and we're going to be looking to build the team around the Kog'Maw. And going to try to 3-star this particular unit. So what led me to try and play Kog'Maw in this setup here? Well, I start out with a Cog. I also start out with a, another Cho'Gath, and I start out with a Malphite. These are the three of the 4 units that you typically play if you're going to be re-rolling for Kog'Maw. Cog is the main carry, Caitlyn is the secondary carry, and then it's a Behemoth frontline featuring Kog'Maw and Malphite. Cog is the more important unit because Kog'Maw is a Mythic unit like Kog'Maw, or Cho'Gath is a Mythic unit like Kog'Maw, but the Malphite is also a unit that you want to play. So I'm going to end up hitting that. I hit the 2-star Malphite, and then I believe Headwinder is going to be able to send me a Kog'Maw as well. He sends me a Cho'Gath as well. Okay, so between us, I now have 5 Cho'Gaths already, and I already have 2 out of 3 Kog'Maws. I'm going to send him a Rek'Sai because he is looking to play into Dryad in this game. Dryad is also a makeable emblem that can be played on this board. Alrighty, so I already have the frontline set. Now I'm just going to need to get the Kog'Maw. And by the way, I get a Shen as well. I actually have a lot of units here. I really should try to sell some of these and try to clear out some bench space here. Could I have gotten to 10 gold there? I'm not sure I could have gotten to 10 gold, but anyway, we'll figure it out. All right, first augment choice here. It is a silver augment. I thought about maybe branching out, get a random emblem and a Reforger, because if I could somehow get 2 Mythic emblems, that would open up the possibility of playing Mythic 10, which is kind of like an auto-win condition. But then I see this, team building. Lesser champion duplicated again, another after 7 player combats. That's really, really good. That means I will be able to get double champion duplicators. This is a great augment to get if you're playing a reroll composition. Now, these are the cheap champion augments. It's not the expensive one. It's not the one that lets you duplicate any unit. Can only use it on 1, 2, or 3 cost units. But if you're re-rolling for 1 cost units anyway, this is a really good one to get because it makes it much easier to hit your units. So now I'm going to look to try to clear my bench. I don't actually need these Garens or Jaxes. They're not going to get played on the board. There's not really any opportunity to get them in. I was also thinking at this point in time that I would hold on to the Senna and then potentially play the Senna for my next unit in so I can get sniper trait. But Antisocial Monkey was watching this and he was like, you need to pick up the Caitlyn. Caitlyn's the other unit is another one of the units you're re-rolling for. You really should want to pick up the Caitlyn here. And I fortunately do just barely manage to do that before the round ends as Headwinder comes over here to help support my board. Let's see, can I go ahead and get that unit? Time's about to run out. I've had a lot of time here. And then just as time is running out, I'm starting to sell. And then I see that there is a Kate. And I was like, gotta grab that Caitlyn. Oh, I actually did get it. Actually did get that unit just barely in time on the interface. Anyway, while I've got a second here, let's go ahead and cover Kog'Maw because he's the featured unit in this video. We are early in the set. Everybody's still trying to learn these units. All right. Cog is a 1-cost unit. He has 3 traits and an interesting pairing too. He has Mythic trait, which is the vertical trait we're going to be emphasizing in this game. He has Sniper trait, which is typically how I think of him. I tend to think of him as Mythic plus Sniper. But then he also has Invoker trait as well, which is really interesting because he doesn't seem like a unit that you associate with generating mana, but he does have the Invoker trait as well. Ability is called Raining Artillery, costs 30 mana, deal magic damage to the lowest health enemy within range. Every 2 casts gain +1 attack range. So Cog's ability doesn't actually do that much damage. It's his ultimate from League of Legends. But every other cast, he gains +1 attack range, and he does only have 30 for his mana cost. So he really is incentivized to try to get a blue buff, because if you get blue buff, then he casts into auto attacks. He's perfectly playable with Shojin. Shojin also gets him to cast into auto attacks, but he's definitely better if you can make the blue buff. So ideally, you'd want to make the blue buff with Kog'Maw, but if you can't do that, you can't do that. All right, there's also a Nico in my store, and the suggestion from Antisocial Monkey was to play the Nico because that will get the Mythic trait in play. He thinks that was better than playing Sniper trait here, and I think that that's probably correct. It also starts scaling up the Mythic bonus as well. So again, we're early in the set. If you're unfamiliar with what Mythic trait does, this is basically Warlord straight back from set 4. Mythic champions gain health, ability power, and attack damage. After 4 player combats, they become epic, increases the bonus by 50%. So by keeping them on the board, they get a higher benefit. So they get extra health, ability power, and attack damage. And obviously higher tiers in the trait means you get more of that. And again, you get a 50% increase bonus after they have been on the board for 4 rounds. You don't have to win 4 rounds, you just have to be on the board for 4 rounds. So it doesn't take effect immediately, but you do want to play these units so they can start stacking up the bonus at an early date. All right, now I could have sold the Kate to get to 30 gold or 20 gold, but that's not what I wanted. There is something I need very badly on these carousels though, and that is I need tiers, because if you're going to play Kog'Maw, you need tiers. You need them pretty badly. You really want double tiers to make blue buff. Blue buff plus Nashor's Tooth are his 2 core items, and then the third item is just get more AP basically. So he deals more damage. But the tier, you really need at least 1 tier so you can make Shojin. Better if you can get 2. But then on top of that, I actually have another thing I need to do as well, and that's because I have this spatula, and I want to turn it into a Mythic spatula item as well. But the recipe for Mythic spatula is also tier plus spatula. So I actually need 3 tiers in this game if I'm going to make blue buff. I need a tier to make the Mythic emblem, and then I need another tier to get Kog'Maw half of his item, and then I need a third tier for blue buff. So I need tiers in the worst way. Because I was 4th pick, I did not think I would get that tier, but hallelujah, thank goodness. Nobody else wanted the tier, and I was even able to get it on a Nico, so that means able to get me to 2 out of 3 Nikos on here as well. Also, because I can put this on Caitlyn, that allows me to then take the Nico off the board, who is only in there to get Mythic trait, and then lets me get Sniper trait in for Cog, so that's quite nice. It's important to have Sniper trait in for Cog just because Cog, remember, he gets additional range every other cast, and Sniper trait means he does more damage to targets that are further away. That's the basic trait for Sniper is, I'll just read it here. Innately, snipers gain 1 attack range, and snipers deal more damage to targets further away. With Sniper 2, it's 7% more damage per tile distance. So you do want to have that in place because he gets more range, and then he deals more damage based on targets further away. Normally, Cog never needs to move. He can usually just stand in place the entire game, and he'll be able to just stay there. All right. Oh, across comes a 2-star Kog'Maw from Headwinder, who's been doing a magnificent job of finding these units. I am trying to find Dryad units for him. He has already made the Dryad emblem, so he can play 4 Dryad right now, but we're going to need to try to get Kindreds for him so he can make Kindred 3-star. It's going to be the key to unlocking his board. Long term, we also want to try to get the expensive Dryad units, which are Ornn at the 4-cost tier and Azir at the 5-cost tier. If we can get all of the Dryad units and have the Dryad emblem, that lets Headwinder play 6 Dryad, which is very, very strong. You get, what is it? I think it's 11 health on all the Dryad units for every unit that you've killed across the entire game. So it's pretty easy to stack up like 1,000 health, maybe even 1,500 health by the end of the game. And, if you have 6 units that all are getting 1,500 additional health, it's difficult to deal with that. All right, my board is still relatively weak for right now, and that's not surprising this early in the game. Reroll comps tend to be pretty weak at the outset of the game, and then when they hit their 3 stars, they get a spike in power. So far, I'm having good news at hitting the 2 most important units. I'm hitting the Cho'Gaths and I'm hitting the Kog'Maws, which are the key units I have. There's another Cho, so I'm actually now on 8 Chos. And remember, I do have these duplicators coming in, so I actually could have the 3-star Cho'Gath right now if I needed to. I am not hitting the Malphites nearly as well, and I'm really not hitting the Caitlyn's. I only have 2 Caitlyn's, but those units are not as important to the comp. Again, the ideal comp, the core of the comp is these 4 units. Again, Cho and Malphite for frontline, Kog'Maw and Caitlyn for backline damage. But the Cog and the Cho'Gath are the two most important units because they're the Mythic units, which are kind of the key to doing this team composition. I can make do if I don't hit the Malphite and I don't hit the Caitlyn, but I kind of have to have the Cog and I kind of have to have the Cho'Gath. They are the core units. All right, anyway, the good news is I got a Rod, which is big. I'd love a tier. That would be even better. I don't get that, but I do get some pretty good stuff here. I can make Dragon's Claw for Cho. That's going to be good. I can make a Druid Gauntlet for Cog. That's going to let his damage crit, so that's pretty good. Remember, he's going to get ability power from the Mythic trait itself, and then this is going to give him the ability for that damage to crit. Anyway, there is a Gnar, so I'm going to send that over to Headwinder. There's another Cog. Okay, and there's yet another Gnar. I wanted to roll down to like 30 gold here. Fortunately, I am uncontested playing this build. There's another Caitlyn. So I think I stop here. I think I stop on 30. So as you can see, I'm pretty close to hitting these. I have 8 Cho'Gaths, 8 Kog'Maws. I also have 4 Nikos and 4 Caitlyns for what that's worth. But I don't think that I need to roll anymore. I can use the duplicators to hit these 3 stars. I decided that I would wait this round. I didn't think that I was going to win this round regardless. I thought, all right, let's stop. Let's wait this round. I'll see if I can hit either the Cog or the Cho naturally next round. And if I don't hit them, I'll just duplicate both of them because I'm about to get the other duplicator, and then we'll just look to start power leveling. Because once I have the core of my comp, which in this case is 3-star Cog, 3-star Cho. By the way, I didn't really kill anything there. But once I have that, there's not really any point in sticking around trying to 3-star the Malphite. I only have 3 Malphites, and the unit's just not that good anyway. So I don't really want to stick around to try to hit Malphite. I don't want to stick around to try to hit Caitlyn. Kate is a better unit than the Malphite. But again, I can play another sniper there if I need to. All right, here I'm looking at different options, and I see you have my bow as an option. Give your units 12% attack speed. That's actually really good here, both because additional attack speed is good on Cog, and more importantly than that, the other thing that it lets me do is it lets me make Gnasher's Tooth on Kog'Maw, which is another key item. So now I've got most of what I need, and I'll go ahead and duplicate the Cog. So there we go. Put the Nico on the board as well. That gets us to 4 Mythic, and then now there's a Kindred, so I will definitely look to hold this. For Headwinder, remember he wants to make 3-star Kindred. He has 2 out of 3 Kindred, so I should be able to send that. I think I just sent him a Gnar, unfortunately, which was not a waste. It made 2-star Gnar for his board. He wants to try to 3-star Gnar as well if he can. But it would have been probably better to send the Kindred. But still, I didn't know I was going to hit a Kindred in the next store. So now Kog'Maw kind of has the damage side of things covered. He's got the Jeweled Gauntlet, so his abilities can crit. He has Gnasher's Tooth, which gives him attack speed after each cast. Like once he casts, he's going to get attack speed for the next few seconds. But then before he casts again, he will before the Gnasher's Tooth attack speed wears off, he'll cast again. So he should be able to have permanent uptime on his Gnasher's Tooth once he manages to get once he manages to cast for the first time. And if I can have a blue buff, then he'll cast instantly at the start of the fight. And then he'll just permanently have blue buff up, attacking every 2 seconds, and Gnasher's Tooth up, which gives him attack speed and ability power. So yeah, now I just need to try to get a blue buff. If I can get a tier, then I'm halfway there, and there's my other duplicator. All right, here is an interesting encounter. It's guess the outcome of the fight. Teemo grants a reward if you're correct. It's 7 gold if you lose and guess correctly. It's double that, 14 gold if you guess correctly. So Headwinder and I are both decided that we would pick win for this round. And I'm going to go ahead and use the duplicator for the Cho 3-star. I was looking at the boards I could potentially hit, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I beat both of these boards. I'm relatively confident that I can win. This person who has double Faded Emblems, which, by the way, could be scary down the road, but they really don't have much of anything now. And then there's an Exalted board, but the Exalted board has every single item sitting on their bench. So I was like, I definitely can beat both of these boards. The only thing that's problematic here in double up mode is there is always the reinforcement mechanism, right? So I'm confident that I beat this board, this Umbral board. They have no items committed whatsoever. I have no idea why they have used 0 items. The only thing is, like, if someone else comes over here and I have to face 2 boards at once, then it could potentially get a little bit more dicey. So hopefully that will not be the case. Also, apparently Kate's ult just did no damage. All right, so I'm going to kill the enemy board, but then they come over and reinforce. I was like, okay. So apparently I do just have to kill 2 entire boards in this round. So I'm really hoping that I can win this one, because as I said, it literally is 2 entire enemy teams that were against me. I don't know who this person was hitting, but they didn't kill anything. But fortunately, I do still win that, and Headwinder won his round, and we both get the 14 gold payout because we both guessed that we would win, and we both were correct, fortunately. All right. It's going to be time to pick. I am third selection on this carousel. Now, what do I want? What do I need desperately? Tears. Tears are what I need. I need tears to make this work. Unfortunately, the tears on a Kaisa, who's a 4-cost champ. So I was like, well, I'm probably not going to get this because it's on a Kaisa. But I was like, nope, actually, I will get this. Okay, let's go. So I've been able to take double tears off carousels. Again, really, really important for playing this build because if you're going to play Kog'Maw, you really, really, really want blue buff if you can possibly get it. And I've been able to use one of the tiers for the Mythic Emblem and then another tier by the way, there's the big gold payout. And then another tier in the form of getting it from that last carousel. So there we go. Now, I'm one off of getting Mythic. Oh, and here's the gift round. I'm going to get a Thief's Glove over there from Headwinder. I don't really have a great unit to put this on, but I'll figure out sooner or later. Let's see. I also could potentially, so I could look to level and play something here. I can't remember if I ended up leveling here or not. I wasn't quite sure. I can at least sell the Kaisa, though, and that actually puts me pretty close. I guess I went ahead and leveled because I had enough gold. It really didn't cost me much of anything. It cost me 1 gold worth of income to make that swap. But if it allows me to preserve a win streak, then it's probably worthwhile. And going up to 5 Mythic is definitely a bit of a spike. So I just put the Thief's Glove on Malphite because at this point I'm convinced I'm obviously not hitting 3-star Malphite. I had a 2-star Malphite in like the very first round of the game, and I've seen not even a single copy of the unit since then. So I'm pretty confident I'm not going to 3-star that unit. So if we're not going to 3-star it, then this unit's going to come out of the comp later on. And we'll replace this with some other unit. Could be a more expensive behemoth, or it could just be some other unit whatsoever. But Malphite will come out of the board, so we can look to put the Thief's Glove on him, and then we can take that off later, and it doesn't matter if we have to sell the unit because Malphite's a pretty bad unit in this patch. This is the release version of set 11, and Malphite's not a very good unit. So even as a 1-cost, he's really not a very good unit. All right. So look at this. Now Kha'Zix causes XP to cost 3 gold instead of 4. At first, when I first saw this encounter, I thought it was for like the next couple rounds or like the next round. No, this is for the entire rest of the game. For the entire rest of the game, XP is going to cost less to purchase. So yeah. I actually just leveled the round before that, so that was slightly annoying, but this does mean this game's going to turn into a who can get to level 9 the fastest and play a whole bunch of like legendary units. Definitely heading in that direction, as you see me send something over there to Headwinder. So that's kind of not great, but the good news is I'm already past kind of the rerolling stage of things, and if anything, people who sunk more gold into buying experience prior to getting that encounter are somewhat at a disadvantage as compared to me, who's going to be able to level based on getting cheaper level ups. I did get 5 Mythic in, though. Again, that's a pretty good jump over the 3 Mythic. In terms of the benefits, the 3 Mythic is 8 HP, 8% more health, 12% more AD and AP. And then 5 Mythic is 18% more health, 22% more AD and AP. So it more than doubles the HP scaling and roughly doubles the AP AD scaling. So that's pretty nice right there. Anyway, my board is definitely coming together nicely now. I'm still only level 6, but I think I can get to level 7 relatively soon. And then I'll have to figure out what else I want to start putting on this board. At the moment, the next thing I would put in would probably be the Alawi. She would give me Arcanist trait and a little more frontline, but we'll just have to wait and see what we can do from there. I've also picked up a Bard in case I need to slot in Bard for 7 Mythic down the road. It should be easier to get 7 Mythic in, though, because we've got the Mythic Emblem. We don't have to find all the Mythic units. We have the Mythic Emblem. Now, we do have the send cooldown here. I was asking Headwinder, do you want me to send a Kindred right here? Because after this round, it's going to transform into the more expensive send. And we just didn't manage to coordinate what we wanted in time. So I end up not using that send on the Kindred. I think it would have been better if I had just sent the Kindred and like not even took the time to consult. It would have been better just to make that right there. But that does not happen, and so now the send is transformed. I could make the Spear of Shojin here, but I decided, let's go ahead and reforge this. Maybe we can get something else. So, do we make the Spear of Shojin? Sure, why not? Again, blue buff is better, but this is perfectly fine. And now I've got a leftover rod that I can put on somebody else. So there we go. There is the Alawi. She is going to put Arcanist trait in with... who I have in there that's an Arcanist? With Nico, and then also actually makes the Ghostly trait with Caitlyn. So a good unit to put in for synergies. I'll have to decide if I want to itemize that unit long term, but we'll have to figure it out down the road. We'll figure something out right there. So anyway, Kog'Maw does not have a blue buff, but he does have Spear of Shojin, and that means he casts on 2 auto attacks. His mana cost is 30. The Shojin means you generate 15 mana per auto attack as opposed to 10 mana per auto attack, which is the default amount. So attack, attack, cast, attack, attack, cast. You get the idea. Cast, 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 cast. Does a lot of casting. And he's fully itemized now, so I'm pretty happy. Pretty happy with Kog'Maw's items. I think these are pretty close to what you'd want. Again, you'd prefer the blue buff, but again, Shojin is certainly not bad here. And we're in pretty comfortable shape. We're just kind of cruising here. Obviously, I'm hoping that I would be able to get one more Kindred and then send a Kindred 2-star. So again, looking at different options here. My sword is not terrible, but I think I end up taking Healing Orbs. Excuse me. And Healing Orbs is a little bit of a win more augment. That is, if you're winning the game, it causes you to win harder. But if you're losing the game, it doesn't really do that much. By the way, I also find Nautilus, so I can put Nautilus on the board. And Nautilus is going to put the Warden trait in play alongside the Alawi right there. So again, I'm still just kind of cruising here, looking to econ. And then I decide, you know what, I can go to 8 and play 7 Mythic. I think I'm going to do that instead. So I do lose some trait synergies for doing that. Like I lost Ghostly trait, but Ghostly's pretty terrible. Also lost Arcanist trait, but like I'm not really playing through the Arcanists in this game. Again, the Arcanists are Nico, and then Sejuani. Like they're not really units that are intended to do a whole lot with their spell casts. Them having more ability power isn't really doing that much. Whereas if we can instead have Cog unlocking his traits, that's actually kind of a lot more useful for the team. But in any case, we're winning these rounds, and these last few rounds have been pretty easy. Cog has just been absolutely smurfing on everybody. He is a little bit like Annie from the last set, from set 10. Annie was a 1-cost champ. She was Goth and... was it Emo? Oh, no, not Goth. Goth is not a trait. She was Emo and Spellweaver. And Annie was interesting because if she had just like ordinary items, she felt very generic. She didn't feel like she was really doing much of anything. But if you gave her best in slot items, then suddenly she would become like this wild, out of control carry. And she would feel kind of like a 4-cost unit, even though she was a 1-cost unit. Cog is a little like that too. Like if you are giving Cog the right items, then he's way, way, way more effective. But he kind of needs his best in slot items. And again, I'm very close to that. I kind of have what I need, except I don't have the blue buff. What else was going on there is I sent the Gnar over to Headwinder, and that's going to give him Gnar 2-star. I'm also going to sell one of the 2 Kindreds, and the reason for that is because Headwinder, I believe, has... he's very close on the Kindreds. I believe he's on 7 Kindreds. He's on 7. Yeah, he's on 7 Kindreds. So if I can send him one more, I think he pretty much only needs 1 more copy. And then I think he has, I don't know, I guess he needs 2 more copies. But I was able to go ahead and sell some of the stuff on my bench because I think he said he only needed 1 more copy. It's going to be a little longer until the Champion Send comes back, but that will still be helpful. All right, in terms of taking stuff off carousel here, some of the expensive units get snapped up. Excuse me. Recording this at the end of a long day. And so there's not that much here that I kind of want that badly. There's no tiers to take, even though I'm kind of at the point where Cog's fully itemized, so I don't need more tiers. But what I am going to take is this cloak, and that's going to allow me to put Ionic Spark up on, on Cho'Gath. So that's going to be really nice because it'll debuff the magic resistance of enemy units on the front line. And that's something that matters for Cog because Cog really typically is shooting at the front line a lot of the time. He does eventually gain infinite range, but at the start of the fights, he kind of still can't cast past the front line. So being able to debuff enemy frontliners' magic resistance does make a big difference when playing Kog'Maw in a setup like this. I've also found a set, so I'm going to go ahead and hold that. That's a unit I could look to play long term. What I was thinking was I will need to play a Warden alongside, the Nautilus. I thought that, long term, I'm going to move out of the Kate. I can play a different sniper. I can play Ash or something, or even the Aphelios that I have on my bench. I can play something else. But I think that Mythic emblem can go over to the set long term, and turning set into a Mythic unit feels like it would be pretty good. So that's kind of where I was going with that setup there. Definitely there are some games where things come together, and this game's coming together pretty nicely. Other games, things do not come together very well at all. But usually if you see these games on YouTube, it's because things worked out well to one degree or another. Headwinder is not having that happen to him. He's actually been struggling to find the Gnar, or not the Gnar. He just hit the Gnar. Struggling to find the Kindred. I think he is stuck on like 7 out of 9 Kindreds or something like that. And he's had to roll an awful lot of gold there. Yeah, he's on 7 out of 9 Kindreds. He's had to roll and roll and roll and roll and roll, and he's just not hitting this unit, unfortunately. So even though I can send him one more, it's going to be a little while until I can get the champion send and get it over there to him. That definitely happens to me as well. If you ever watch the live stream of our Friday morning games, that is not that uncommon to have that happen, where just it's a game where it really don't hit for one reason or another, or I had like a bad idea, took a questionable path through the unit tree or something like that. But it's not much point in putting those games on YouTube, right? It's like, do I want to show footage of, hey, I tried this and it didn't work? Doesn't really make for great video footage if that's the case. So usually the games where it actually works to one degree or another are the ones that I try to put up on here. Anyway. All right, so we've got another carousel here. I do get a gift from Headwinder, and he's going to send me a Lilia, which is very, very nice because that's going to put Invoker Trade in play, and now I can start to itemize Lilia as another secondary carry after the Kog'Maw, because that unit's going to be pretty helpful to have. She's actually quite strong in this patch. I suspect she's going to get nerfed. This is still the release version of the set. I suspect she'll get nerfed down the road in some capacity or another. We also need to finish itemizing Cho'Gath as well. We definitely need another unit up there with Cho. I mean, we have some other units, but Cho's the like main tank carry up there. I was really hoping for something that wasn't the items I just got right here. So I was like, all right, I mean, I guess we can do, Protector's Vow, which I don't think is an amazing tank item, but I think it's the best option here. All right, so we'll go ahead and make the Protector's Vow. There we go. At least Cho'Gath has enough health that's going to be viable. And then I need to get something else on the board. So I'll just toss the set on the board for right now because it does make Warden trait for me. But that set needs to get to a position where he starts doing the push-ups. If you're unfamiliar with the set, he's a 5-cost unit. He like bench presses the 2 units next to him at the start of every minion round. And the more rounds he does that, the more total attack damage he gets over the course of the game. So he can stack up to like 100% extra AD over the course of the game if he's getting a lot of that off. Still, we seem like we're in pretty good shape. My board's actually on a 10-match win streak, so we're kind of cruising through here. And right here, as soon as I see the Ornn pop up in my store, I believe that I move out of the Malphite and play this. I think that this is when I did that. I am going to get an item over from Headwinder here. So I was like, what item do I put on the Lilia? Okay, I did manage to 2-star the Lilia, which is really nice. And I'm all the way up to level 9 already, so we're going to look to roll on level 9 and just see what else we can play. We have to have something better than that Malphite at this point in time, right? Like a 2-star Malphite's not that good. So we can look to do something there. I don't know if I get the switch off in time. And then I see Hui, and I'm like, oh, Hui and Lysandra. Okay, well, these are 5-cost units. Got to be better than something I have on the board right now, right? So yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to take out the Tahm Kench. I could play Tahm for more frontline, but I actually think my frontline's in relatively good shape here. Although, well, I was going to say I could take out the Nico potentially, but Nico does give me half of Arcanist trait, which I might want here. I'll have to figure it out and decide if I want that or not. But in an abstract, the 2-star Tahm is probably better than the 2-star Nico, just due to the way these things work. Anyway, things are looking pretty sharp. Hitting the 2-star Lilia pretty easily was very, very nice. I know Headwinder sent me one of them, and then I was able to find the others in the shop pretty quickly. So I did also pick up Hui, and I don't think that I've really had a chance to talk about Hui so far in this game either. One of the new units, new to Teamfight Tactics, new to League of Legends as well. He is the 5-cost Mythic unit and has a nice ability. Basically, paints stuff on the ground. I'll read the description of Hui's ability. Create an expanding paint pool around the most units, so where enemy units are clumped up. Heals allies within for health every second for the 3 seconds, and then after 3 seconds it explodes, healing allies within for more health and dealing magic damage to enemies. So yeah, he punishes people who are clumping pretty hard on his board. So yeah, that's pretty scary. Anyway, I'm going to put in the Aphelios just so I can move the Mythic Emblem. I'm going to move it over to Set, as already mentioned. We'll put the Thief's Glove on Hui, and then we're just still looking for units. At this point, I was like, maybe I should just grab Lilia's. It's very possible that I could try to get the 3-star Lilia. Not likely, but possible that I could look to get that unit. So this board is going to be particularly susceptible to getting Huayed because there's a whole lot of units standing together there in the back lines. Huay also did roll a Jeweled Gauntlet this round. So he doesn't really have that much in the way of items. He's just got the Thief's Glove. But, you know, he is going to roll something on there every round. And he's getting 35 ability power and 35 AD just from having 7 Mythic in there. I'm also holding extra copies of the Tom and the Bard because if I would get a Mythic emblem in some way, sometimes they're on the late game carousels, that would make it easy to play Mythic 10. And then, as I said, that's just kind of like an auto win the lobby if you get Mythic 10. One team is already out of the lobby, though, so they're dying pretty fast. And I see this. I was potentially going to take the Spear of Shojin and then put it on Lilia, but I'm actually pretty happy to take Adaptive Helm and an Adaptive Helm that's on a Huay anyway. So I can just have them paint Huay and maybe get Huay 2-star from that. So definitely things working well in that regard. And then now I'm going to send the Kindred over to Headwinder, but unfortunately, I'm only sending a 1-star Kindred. If I were sending a 2-star Kindred, then he'd actually be in much better shape. But nope, it is unfortunately just the 1-star version. And then, oh, look at this. We've got another set here. I was also able to put Lysandra on the board. I just decided I'll go ahead and lock my board. Could just also sell the Lilia, because it's probably unlikely I'm going to hit Lilia 3-star, but you never know. I am trying to itemize Lilia now. I went ahead and I was able to get the, the Adaptive Helm. It's actually not that bad of an item. It grants that additional mana regen. So while I would probably have preferred something like Spear of Shojin, the Adaptive Helm is not bad. All right, this person's Wukong is just killing everything, and you might be like, wait a minute, why is Wukong killing everything? The answer is the... I believe he's got a decent amount of like lifesteal, and Omnivamp from Sage trait or something like that. But that was a 2-star Wukong, which is pretty strong unit overall. And yes, sadly, I'm going to continue to keep my store locked, but it's going to get me 2-star set, so that's pretty worthwhile. What's this? We get 2 Zephyrs, which are going to last for 3 rounds. Okay, I do like Zephyrs, so I'm happy to play around with this. Let's see how well the other players in the lobby do at dodging Zephyrs. If you were ever part of our group that plays the Friday morning games, you probably might know that we have always loved making good use of Shrouds of Stillness and Zephyrs. So we have a lot of practice at dodging Shrouds and Zephyrs. So you got to think on your feet. You got to be ready to avoid these. And I just want to make sure that Kog'Maw does not get grabbed by these Zephyrs. But I also do want to have it set up so that I can position to try to hit key units on the enemy team. So I'm going to put one on the front line, and then I'm going to try to put one here in the back as well. And I see that they have a 3-star Kale, but I wasn't quite able to get that unit up in the air. I did manage to hit the, oh my goodness, this unit. Wait, what? I suddenly noticed out of thin air, I was like, wait a minute, they have a 3-star Galio? That's a 3-star 4-cost on their Storyweaver's board. How much health does this unit have? Yeah, it's a 3-star 4-cost. So I was like, oh, geez, okay. Well, I don't think we're winning this round. That Galio has an incredible amount of health. And then Kale can just sit back there and DPS behind it. Unfortunately, we have lost a fair amount of health. Now, the lobby's getting pretty low, but we've lost a decent amount. That's mostly because Headwinder still has been having trouble hitting his board. He just had terrible luck at finding the Kindred throughout this game. Even though we tried to work together to hit it, we just couldn't find this unit. And that means he also doesn't have a Zir either. I said I would try to keep an eye out for a Zir for his board. But he's just kind of behind the lobby pace tempo of the game. So even though I felt like my board has been really strong, and I mean, it has been strong, for better or for worse, where health is not as strong as we would have liked because Headwinder's just kind of not hitting his units on this particular occasion. And yes, by the way, that was getting close to the Tom Kench 3-star, but I'm not even playing Tom Kench right now. There's an Azir, so that's kind of nice. And I had the chance to pull something else from the item anvil. I'm going to go ahead and put a frontline item on set. Because that will get multiplied by the Mythic bonus, which is like 24% additional health. All right, I do want to cover Huay's other abilities. So Huay's other trait is Artist trait. This is his unique trait that Huay has access to. This one is the ability, I'll just read the official description. Artist trait. The artist paints the champion you place in a special bench slot. Gain a 1-star copy of that champion placed there when the artist's work is complete. Rounds to complete equals a unit's cost. So I'm actually painting another Huay here, and that's going to be Huay 3-star, or 2-star. Huay 3-star would be incredible, but no. And it says I'm at 4 rounds, so it looks like I'm going to need 1 more round of painting. to get Hui. And then it's like I get another copy of the unit on my board. I think I've made this comparison before, but it feels a little bit like how Orin would forge you items in set 4.5. And if you hit an early Orin, then it would get really, really strong. Similarly, if you hit early Hui and you can get him to start painting extra copies of your units, it actually does make it a lot easier to try to 3-star some of the units, or in this case, just 2-star some of them. But yeah, now I have 2-star Hui. I'm actually on 6 Lilias, so I would probably try to paint the Lilias next. And I'm just rolling to see what else I can hit. And then I see there's an Ashe in the store, so I definitely want to play Ashe. That will put Sniper Trait back in play for Kog'Maw, and because I have Lysandra on my board as well, it's also going to put Porcelain Trait in, though I wouldn't say Porcelain Trait's going to be that significant. We did knock a team out of the lobby that round, and now we're down to just one other team on 1 HP. By the way, there's another Lilia in the store, so I could buy this for 7, and then Hui's duplicating, that would be 8. So I am getting pretty close to Lilia 3-star here as well. But this team is on 1 HP, so if we win this game, the game's just going to be over. And it looks like that is what's happening because Kog is just tearing through these. The Cho'Gath still has not really been killed. And yeah, I win very easily. So we're going to win that round and then go over to this other person's board where they have the 2-star Lee Sin. This was the one really strong unit. Like I said, I think this unit has an awful lot of Omni-Vamp, although I'm not exactly sure. But you can see Lee just keeps spinning around, or not Lee, Wukong. Wukong just keeps spinning around, spinning around, spinning around. He does have the Super Titans along with a Bloodthirster and Infinity Edge. And he manages to kill both Headwinder's team and also my team as well. But their partner was not in such a strong position. So I'm going to be able to knock out their partner. And that's going to wrap this one up for a relatively easy first place finish. Again, our health was pretty low. We were down to only 20 HP. So that means we probably had like 2 or 3 lives left. We could lose like maybe 2 more rounds and we'd still be okay. But yeah, we were starting to run out of our margin for error. But yeah, it was a good game. Headwinder really supplied me with a lot of the units. I think he sent me a 2-star Cho and a 2-star Cog early on in the game, and that just made a huge difference. Plus, the champion duplicators early were just what I needed. And I'd also like to thank everybody in the lobby for letting me get all those tiers off carousels. Anyway, though, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Great advice from Antisocial Monkey. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, have a great week, folks. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.